Hi, this is Utkarsh here for Silence and Stories, and with me I have the Bear 650 by Royal Enfield. Well, I've had the bike for about a week and I decided to ride it to the foothills here in Himalayas. I've ridden over fine tarmac, I've ridden over gravel, believe it or not, some light trails here and there, and that has given me an enough opportunity to experience the bike in its totality, right from the suspension, the motor, how the bike feels, the whole work. And safe to say, I just think I like it. And here's why. Well, for starters, it's based on the same 650cc platform that Royal Enfield has so successfully mastered in the last few years. It's got a little bit more torque in it, and I'll tell you exactly why. It's a twin cylinder, but there's only one exhaust. Well, this is not the conventional twin exhaust system you would spot on a 650 Enfield. Instead, Royal Enfield has put it into two-in-one exhaust system, which helps deliver a little bit more torque. How much? Well, the company says around 8%, but when you ride it, it feels a whole lot more. It pulls really nicely. And it doesn't even require a lot of throttle action. Just a little bit of a flick and it's ready to go. The power is right on there, and the torque, even though it's not a significant lot, it's barely up by 8% if I'm not wrong, but I don't know how it seems more than that. Now I just happen to be crossing a city right now, and I have to say, in the city the bike is equally nimble, if not more, than the other 650s. And like I said, I appreciate that little bit of extra torque in there. It helps you just get out of situations pretty easily. You don't have to drop a lot of gears, and even if you do, the clutch is really smooth. You don't have to put a lot of effort to pull it hard, or even the gears for that matter. They're not clunky at all. Now here in the twisties is where the Bear 650 feels most alive as compared to riding on flat roads in the cities. This is where I feel Royal Enfield has nailed the gear ratio on the Bear. You can chug along easily the entire day. The third gear is very wide, as is the second gear, but it does hit its upper ceiling close to 50 kilometers per hour, and that is when the bike does feel strained at such speeds. But even if you push to third, you're not compelled to sort of downshift at every instance that you slow down. Then there's that wonderful green colored chassis that you see. Well, it's essentially the same chassis as the Interceptor, but Royal Enfield says they have strengthened the subframe. I like it. I've barely ridden the Bear for a day now, and I've already started feeling home on it. You don't feel the need to get used to the bike more than maybe a few hundred kilometers at max. You start getting in tandem with how the bike feels, how much it weighs, and so on and so forth. There is some adventure credential here, and when the going gets tough, The Scrambler is a very, very easy motorcycle to saddle on. The only thing that's missing, that I've been screaming all this while, is a taller handlebar. Put that on and you would technically mount some luggage at the rear and have a great old time exploring out. There's the wide handlebar that I really like, but I wish it would have been a little bit taller. That wonderful digital console that has navigation inbuilt in it. This nice long bench style seat. It's not split, it's a single unit and quite narrow, to be honest, where you sit so that you can shift your weight around quite easily. That big beautiful tank with the Royal Enfield inscriptions and a bear logo on there, and that 249 numbering on there. Now, Royal Enfield has done an absolutely amazing job at this motorcycle, I have to say that. It's styled really nicely, and I think that design, the element of looking at it and going wow, is probably the best part of the bike. I mean, just the sheer amount of heads you turn. I think I have to go out on a limb and say this is probably the best looking Royal Enfield out there. And I really like the GT when I'm saying that. But this, it's a beautiful bike. It's got all the Scrambler aesthetics right on the money. The best part about this motorcycle for me is how it sounds. I think it sounds absolutely amazing. It's right on the sweet spot. I don't even think you need to do an exhaust change to make it sound bassier. You could always do that, but the stock sound, beautiful. Well, in conventional 650 Enfield fashion, it's got twin discs by Brembo. Interestingly, the suspension is Showa, as most modern Enfields are. The lighting is all LED back in front. The rear view mirrors are nice and stable. They don't really move around, which I really like, and I think I might just find a way to put them on my Himalayan 411. There is an inbuilt USB socket that's come in really handy. The 17-inch rear and the 19-inch front does give you a fair amount of room to play around. There's a lot of bikes out there that pretend to be scramblers, or at least carry the name Scrambler, and they don't even have like a larger front wheel. Forget a 21-incher. Most of them are stuck with 17 inches back in front, and the lookalike Pirelli Scorpion STRs by MRF aren't the worst tires in the world. I mean, first, they've done a tremendous job of looking the part, that's for sure. But then second, they hold their own. The only place where they felt very iffy to me was when I was riding over a very long gravel section. That is when I could not move beyond the first two gears, and it felt I'd just lose control at any time. But other than that, for tires that are this knobby, they're pretty good on plain tarmac and relatively milder trails as well. The shocks do pretty well, I mean the front shocks at least. But when you come to the rear, well, they're probably the weakest point of the motorcycle, and if you are serious about scrambling around on the bike, you better do something about those rear shocks. The stiff even with me having adjusted the preload, they're not really the best that you could have sort of gotten from a motorcycle that costs around 4.5 lakh rupees. I think the problem arises when you've got to slow down and sit and try to cross certain sections. This motorcycle is not easy. I mean, the rear suspension is not the most accommodating for you to cross such tarmac while you're sitting on it. You stand and it's all good. I think the overall response is fairly nice. I mean, if it's not too bumpy, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna glide through it even if you sit. But if it is, bordering a trail or anything close to that, you're gonna either have to stand and maneuver or turn back, because as much as a scrambler it is styled like, the suspension, number one, the rear suspension especially, isn't the most pleasing to tackle such roads. Above that, the bike does weigh a significant lot. It's not a light bike for you to sort of manage on broken tarmac or the backcountry roads. So you have to really choose your battles on the Bear. Even in, sort of bumper to bumper traffic like this, you have to sort of account for that weight. You can't just be crawling with the mindset that you are going to easily maneuver the bike. It weighs a heft. I mean, at 220 kgs, it's not a light motorcycle. But then again, I really like it for what it's worth. Even in this kind of manic daytime traffic. Now, it's not the lightest 650 out there, nor is it the cheapest. But you know what? It is, quite frankly, the most fun 650 out there. It's extremely functional. If you live in the city, this might make for a really nice one motorcycle in your garage. And even if you were the adventure kinds like me, I don't think you would regret having a second motorcycle in the form of the Bear in your garage. And to be honest, in the 1 week that I've had, this is the one motorcycle I wanted to pull off more and more. And this is not the new motorcycle charm that has pulled me into it. I think this is the most fun I've had while riding any of Enfield's 650cc motorcycles, and that is a big statement. Overall, I think the bike is quite fun to be on, and I think unlike most modern motorcycles, it's very simple. There's not a lot of junk on there. You can't have multiple ride modes, and there's not a lot of crazy gizmo on there. It's simple. You get on it, there's the throttle, where the brakes are, where the gear is, and you just get going. It looks like it can go places, even though you'll have to do something about that. The suspension, the handlebar, maybe the seat, it might be a little bit too firm for some people. So while this is no Himalayan, this is no adventure bike, this will not feel easy on trails and backcountry roads and dirt. This will probably pull you out the best if you're looking for a relatively modern looking retro with the aesthetics of a bike that can take on the occasional off-road.